Thank you for logging in tonight. I know this is a little bit different than last year where we all met in the Civic Center, and due to COVID-19, we had a workshop planned in March that was, of course, canceled. And I had actually attended another webinar that talked a lot about how to keep your community engaged in the planning process virtually and how to do that. So in talking with Philip and his firm, Kinley Horn, had a lot of experience in doing that virtual platform and in engaging the community. So I figured, why not do that with the Lakes District? And so here we are today doing a little webinar that's going to go over what we did last year for the Lakes District and what we have planned for the rest of this year with the Lakes District. So I should first maybe do some introductions. I'm Amy Palmer, and I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Auburndale. I've been with the city for a number of years now, just doing planning and managing the building department and doing economic development. And then with us tonight, I've got Jesse Pearson, who is our staff planner. He's kind of off screen. He's going to help answer any questions or chat with any of you all as you explore the Zoom webinar, this platform, and are able to chat with us and ask some questions that we may answer offline individually with you, or answer to the entire group that's with us tonight. So with that, I'm gonna let Philip introduce himself and maybe do a little housekeeping of the Zoom platform here that we're on this evening.
Sure. Thanks, Amy. So like Amy said, my name's Philip DiMaria. I work with Kinley Horn. Really excited to be here. Worked with Amy and the City of Auburndale throughout this Lakes District project. We began with the visioning session that maybe some of you are familiar with, and now into implementation. So it's been a great experience, and happy to be here and adapt and be able to move this to this virtual setting. So also appreciate you all as attendees to also be willing to engage, which is such an important part of this process, despite not being able to see each other face to face. So thanks to all of you. Kudos to all of you for being here today. As far as Zoom is concerned, pretty simple. Amy and I are going to give a brief presentation, talk about where we've been, where we're going, and then walk you through a survey. So that's really the main purpose of today's webinar. Is we're launching a survey where the community can really come, provide some input on the types of basically what they want to see in the Lakes District. We're hitting the ground running here, and the rubber's hitting the road. For Zoom itself, there's a few options at the bottom of everyone's screen. There should be a question and answer option and a chat option. I'll ask to use the question and answer option as a means to engage with us here in this webinar towards the end. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in. And as Amy said, Jesse's here with us to monitor those questions and see if we can answer them right here and now, or if we should follow up with you and give you some detailed responses. Other than that, please enjoy the presentation and try and pay attention. You know, it's maybe not the most exciting thing to learn how to use a survey or walk through a survey, but I really believe that this is a super, super important part of this movement to make the Lakes District what you all want to see. So thanks again, and Amy, I want to flip back to you and we can move through some of these slides.
Okay, thanks, Philip. So the map that you see on the screen right now is the boundary for the Lakes District, and of course we call it the Lakes District because it's bordered by all of the lakes in Auburndale, Lake Van and Lake Medora that are right there in the middle. And the area is predominantly residential with a lot of agricultural land that, of course, everybody knows the groves have all been knocked over. They're no longer producing citrus. So what's going to happen to that land? And so this is our planning area right here. Now, not to say that the area outside of this planning area is not going to influence what happens here and vice versa. For example, the area along between the Polk Parkway and Berkeley Road is called the Innovation District. So as that area gets developed with the SunTrax project and with Florida Poly, and you start to see some employment centers over there, that's probably going to influence what happens in the Lakes District. And vice versa, what happens in the Lakes District will benefit the Innovation District and the folks that decide to work and live over there. So this whole planning effort is really to help us put our thumbprints on how things look in Auburndale as they get developed. So Philip, if I could have you advance to the next slide. I'm going to go over what we did last year, because a lot was accomplished last year as we developed the Lakes District vision and strategy. So we started back in the spring of 2019. We did several community workshops where we came up with what you see this arrow here on the right-hand side of your screen, which is forward-looking, and it really has those key words there that the residents who attended those community workshops, they wrote those words out on a board, and those words became part of the vision for the Lakes District. So that balance, that beautiful, peaceful, really what the land represents now, wanting to see that carry forward into the future. So after the community workshops were done and the vision and the strategies were created, the City Commission endorsed that vision back in November of 2019. So that City Commission endorsement really solidified the work that the residents put into the Lakes District vision. You know, that's kind of like the green light to, hey, let's move forward and see this vision become a reality. So they actually adopted a few new code requirements. So when a piece of property is developed, this low-hanging fruit, these new requirements are now, you'll see those in some of the new subdivisions and new neighborhoods that are in the pipeline to be developed. So what is required now is parks and open space within a neighborhood. So that's something we heard during the visioning process from April through September, was the lack of open space and parks in the Lakes District. So one way to see more parks and open space is to require a developer to put that in their neighborhood. And so that is now a requirement that we'll see with new neighborhoods that come before us. Likewise, landscaping of stormwater retention areas. That's low-hanging fruit. You know, right now it's not required, well, before October, stormwater retention areas were not required to be landscaped within a subdivision. So now they are required to be landscaped. So they become more than just a hole in the ground. You know, there's a little bit of an aesthetic quality that we're looking for when a development has to put in a retention area. Likewise, for a perimeter landscaping of new neighborhoods. That was never a requirement. It was always something we had to ask a developer to do, and it didn't always happen. So now when a new neighborhood comes and is developed, they're required to do landscaping outside of that subdivision, just so, again, that aesthetic quality as you're driving down our roads. So now we're moving into the next phase of the Lakes District. We had the community workshops last year. The City Commission endorsed that vision and strategy, which I'm about to go over here shortly, just really quickly. And so now we're into the implementation phase of the Lakes District. So it's really nice to have a vision and it's really nice to have a strategy, but you don't want to see that sit on a shelf. So this next phase really is putting that vision and strategy into policy that the City Commission can adopt and that we can see developers actually implement. So back in March, we had our community workshop that was canceled due to COVID-19. And here we are today with a virtual webinar that the community is attending, and Philip's going to go over a virtual survey that we'll be asking everybody to complete that will help us put that strategy into the implementation phase and into policy. So if I could get you to go to the next slide. Every good strategic plan has a vision, an objective, and then strategies. So here's that vision, the peaceful, beautiful, balanced. And those were the words that a lot of people wrote during that 2019 that spring of 2019 community workshop. We heard those words a lot. So that became our vision. The objective is to enhance the character of the Lakes District by reducing the encroachment of suburban sprawl while accommodating opportunities for economic development and growth. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, when are we getting a Publix in North Auburndale? And that we finally are getting a Publix in North Auburndale. They're in the planning stages right now, but that's an opportunity for economic development. And so the vision and the map that was created last year created those opportunities for economic development at key intersections. We're also looking at enhancing the character of the Lakes District by again, like the parks and open space policy that the City Commission adopted. That is helping to enhance the character of the Lakes District. And I think you'll see through the survey instrument that Philip's going to go through how we're really looking to the community to define how to enhance the character of the Lakes District. So I think you'll be impressed with the survey instrument, and hopefully city staff and the City Commission will be able to get a lot of good information from the survey that you all will be completing. So if I could go to the next slide, Philip, and that is the actual strategies for implementing the Lakes District. And a lot of these all of these strategies came out of the community workshops that we hosted last year. So creation of greenway corridors. We heard that trails were important to the community. Greenways would also include, protection of environmentally sensitive areas, maybe some of the agricultural character of the community that we see up there. The second strategy was the creation of mixed-use centers to create community focal points. So that also hits on that economic development piece where we may see some village centers and mixed-use centers, again, at key intersections. Promotion of alternative transportation methods and the creation of walkability enhancements, ensuring that when a new neighborhood is put in, that there's sidewalks. That's always been a key policy of our Planning Commission and our City Commission, and as part of our land development regulations, that those sidewalks are put in. But also making sure that, in the future, if there's a transit opportunity along this corridor, that happens as well. And then protection of environmental resources and agricultural character. So as we look at the city's comprehensive plan and our land development regulations, which is where the rubber hits the road, what is it that we can do to really protect our lakes, to protect the agricultural character of the land? What policies can the City Commission put in place to really protect those resources? And on the next slide, is the vision map that was created. And again, this was the result of a mapping exercise that the community had done, as well as several other exercises during those community workshops. So you'll see in the red some of the mixed-use village centers at those key intersections of like Gaffway Road and 559, of Old Lake Alfred Road and Adams Barn Road. You'll see the moderate density residential in the orange color, and a lot of that orange and tan color represents the residential, the groves right now that would become residential as they're developed. So, and then the estate residential category. So, you know, what's going to happen with this vision is, for this next phase of our Lakes District visioning process, is what policies can we create basically to see this vision implemented. And that's really where we're at. If I could get you to move to the next slide, is how do we get from vision to implementation? So the plan doesn't just sit up on a shelf. That the City Commission can adopt policies to create the mixed-use centers, like the one here on the bottom left corner here of these pictures, or, you know, really nice retention areas that are landscaped and just create a nice view when you're driving down the road for residents to enjoy. So that's really where we're at, and I think the survey instrument that's been created, that's taking the place really of the community workshop, will help us get to this implementation phase of the Lakes District. So, Philip, that's all I have. I'm going to turn it back over to you to go over that survey instrument.
Great. Thank you, Amy. I'm going to pull up the survey right here, and my plan is just to walk through what the survey instrument looks like for everyone. I'll pull it up exactly as you'll find it and show you the type of input that we're looking for, as well as how to just work through the survey. Just some general items. The survey it will be available on all different platforms, whether it be your iPad, your iPhone, your computer. You can do that on any of those platforms. And I'll go ahead and share my screen now as if I was pulling it up on my personal computer. All right. So when you first click on the link to the survey, this is what you'll be greeted with. There'll be a begin button, and basically just there are a few frequently asked questions or fun facts on the bottom, as well as some of the items that Amy touched on previously, like where is the Lakes District here, and just some general information about it. Feel free to run through these as you get into it, but really the fun stuff starts on the second page. So this first one is called priority ranking. And this is an activity where you'll be able to really rank your priorities in terms of, you know, what types of things are important to you here in the Lakes District. We've presented you with 5 different options, and these are drag and drop options that you'll put above a line, and you can reorder as you see fit. So let's say I like open spaces the best. You throw that up top, and you can move that around. I will say that there is an opportunity here to always suggest something that you don't see, and you can click on this button here and place a box and hit submit, as well as comment if you just have some general ideas. But key thing to remember here is that order does matter. That's something that we'll be taking a good look at. So place your priorities above the line and just rank them as you see fit. Once you complete that task, we'll move on to the next task. And that is what we like to call a visual preference survey. So general items here, there are 5 different categories across the top: subdivisions, setbacks, buffers, signage, and village centers. And those 5 categories represent where we're looking to receive some input as far as like what Amy was talking about with implementation, really finding regulations that relate to character. So these 5 are really what most communities use as defining character in the built environment. So subdivisions are extremely important in terms of how they're subdivided and what they look like. And there are 5 options within each category, as I said. So this first one is subdivision 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you'll see these 5 stars at the bottom, and you can choose however many stars you like. Let's say you really like this one, you give it 5 stars. You like this one a little less, you can give it 2 stars. So pretty intuitive, and you'll be able to move through each of these sections as you see fit. The next category here is the encouraged elements. So this is really putting you in the position of being able to vote where you would like to see certain things or what types of amenities you'd like to see. So in this exercise, you have the ability to drag and drop coins where you see fit. There are details under each of these categories that really discuss what we're talking about, because some of these you may have some questions regarding technical items. How are they implemented? What are we really talking about here? And once again, we really need that feedback on what you find important. And there are 5 what I like to call nickels and pennies, and you can place those wherever you like on that item. Last but not least, we want to learn a little bit about you. So if you could make sure when completing the survey that you check all of the boxes that pertain to you, provide some information on your age and gender. It's only for the good of the survey. So we're not taking this data and going somewhere else with it or anything like that. We're just curious as to what is maybe certain priorities are more important to someone of a certain age or gender. You can leave your email if you like. That's really the only personal identifier. And then tell us how long you've been associated with the area. As always, with this Lakes District plan, there's a website, and there's a link to the website right here on the last page. So that is the general survey. Running through that, you'll find yourself at that end page, and just make sure you hit submit final questions before moving on.